everybody. Welcome to Storytime to Go here at the South Side. This month, as you may know, it's all about planting and gardening, so be sure to visit our South Side Kids Room. If you go to the website and look under the South Side tab, you'll see the South Side's Kids Room, and it's a virtual classroom where you can find all kinds of things for kids to do. There are links to PBS, and there are online jigsaw puzzles, and there are story times, and there's all kinds of information about the library and all kinds of information about growing plants, because as I said, May is all about things that grow. Today we're up for story time. We're going to do The Curious Garden by Peter Brown. This is an award-winning book, and it's lovely for people who think that they might not be able to have a garden. The Curious Garden. There was once a city without gardens or trees or greenery of any kind. Most people spent their time indoors. As you can imagine, it was a very dreary place. Dreary is like dark and boring and sad. However, there was one boy who loved being outside. Even on drizzly days, while everyone else stayed inside, you could always find Liam happily splashing through his neighborhood. It was on one such morning that Liam made several surprising discoveries. He was wandering around the old railway, as he did from time to time, when he stumbled upon a dark stairwell leading up to the track. The railway had stopped working ages ago, and since Liam had always wanted to explore the tracks, there was only one thing this curious boy could do. Liam ran up the stairs, pushed open the door, and stepped out onto the railway. The first thing he saw was a lonely patch of color. Wildflowers and plants were the last thing he expected to find up there. But when he took a closer look, it became clear that the plants were dying. They needed a gardener. One thing I want you to notice as I turn the pages from the beginning to the end of the storybook, let's watch what happens to the colors. Liam may not have been a gardener, but he knew that he could help. So he returned to the railway the very next day and he got to work. The flowers nearly drowned, and he had a few pruning problems. But the plants patiently waited while Liam found better ways of gardening. See, he didn't know how to do it at first, but he tried. As the weeks rolled by, Liam began to feel like a real gardener, and the plants began to feel like a real garden. Do you see how it's a little bit more green, and our page is a little bit more light? And Liam is not wearing his dark raincoat anymore. Most gardeners stay in one place, but this was no ordinary garden. With miles of open railway ahead of it, the garden was growing restless. It wanted to explore. The tough little weeds and the mosses were the first to move. They popped up further and further down the tracks, and they were closely followed by the more delicate plants. Over the next few months, Liam and the Curious Garden explored every corner of the railway. Do you see how it's almost all green in here now? Wow, look how tall the flowers are. They're almost as tall as he is. And they have a smokestacks like we have here in Bethlehem. Look, oh, look, Liam has his scarf on. So that would tell us what? Do you wear your scarf in the summer? Probably not. And it looks like some of the flowers are starting to go down a little bit. That might be the coming of the fall. Oh, I bet it was, because now we have snow. After spending his spring and his summer and autumn with the garden, Liam's time on the railway was finally interrupted by winter. Heavy blankets of snow fell on the city that season, and for the first time since he'd become a gardener, Liam could not visit the plants. I guess he'll have to find something else to do. Rather than waste his winter worrying about the garden, Liam spent it preparing for the spring. After 3 cold months of the snow finally began to melt, and Liam rolled his new garden gear over to the railway. Winter had taken a toll on the garden, but thanks to Liam's planning, his handy new tools, and a little help from the sun, the plants soon woke from their winter sleep. Look how beautiful they look. And he's singing to them. The garden had always wanted to explore the rest of the city, and that spring, it was finally ready to make its move. Once again, the rough little weeds and the mosses set out first. They popped up further and further from the railway and were closely followed by the more delicate plants. The garden was especially curious about old, forgotten things. He's even watering the plants that grow in the cracks. A few plants popped up where they didn't belong, and others mysteriously popped up all at once. But the most surprising thing that popped up were new gardeners. Look at all the people. They're all doing the same thing that Liam did. Look, they even have grass on the stair steps, and they're enjoying a picnic. They're even having paintings of things growing up between the tiny, tiny buildings as the trees. Many years later, the entire city had blossomed. But of all the new gardens, Liam's favorite was where it all began. And look how beautiful the city looks here compared to all the way back on our first picture when it looked very sad and dreary. I bet you could find some places to put in some plants and do a little gardening. So to help you get started with your gardening, I thought we might make a little pretend garden. So when you stop by the South Side to pick up your Storytime to Go bag, this is what you're going to get inside of it. A tiny little flower pot, a popsicle stick, and 2 flowers. Now, I have already colored my flowers, but you can color, they're going to come plain. They're going to be white. They're going to be just white. And so you can color them any color you would like. I chose the pink and the yellow. So we are going to make ourselves our own little garden, and you can put it anywhere you like, or you could give it to your mom for Mother's Day. Okay, so we have our little pot here, and we have our stick. So we'll put the pot to the side, and I'm going to start with my stick first because I've already colored this. I cut them out for you, so when you get them in your bag, it's like I said, it'll just be white. So go ahead and color them any color you want. And I'm going to take the popsicle stick, and I'm not giving you tape in your bag. I'm hoping that a grown-up can give you some tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tape. Let's see if I can do this and show you here. I'm going to put the tape across the popsicle stick like that. And see how I did that? I just taped it right across. Now, I want to put this one on here. So let's see. Let's use our engineering ideas and figure out how can I get this to stick to this, because I already taped it to the stick. So I think what I might do is make a tape bubble. And if you don't know how to do that, you can ask a grown-up. You take your little piece of tape and you fold one end over the other one like a donut, and it's a circle, okay? And I'm gonna put that on my second flower. And then I'm gonna sort of line up the petals, and I'm gonna stick one to the other. See how I did that? And now is the most fun part of all, because each of these pots is filled with styrofoam. These little pots, actually, Miss Janine, who works here, she does all the fun activities for the grown-ups. She had something, a craft that she did, and she didn't need these pots, so I recycled them from her, and we're using them now. So you take your little stem, and you stick it right in your little pot. And now you have your own indoor garden. See you soon, everybody. Take care.